In this recording, I'm going to talk briefly about Chapter 17 on wages and unemployment. Okay, so unemployment, our third aggregate variable we've talked about so far. Now, this chapter has a lot of content, so what I want to do is just focus in this recording on how the firm decides how much labor to hire. That's ultimately going to be at the heart of what the unemployment rate is. First thing we have to do is say that the firm has some production technology. What do we mean by that? So we say that the firm has some function, f of L. L is the amount of labor that the firm puts into its factory or whatever else type of technology it's using, and f of L is how much output it gets out once it puts L in. So let's say this function looks something like this, L to the 1/2. Okay, why does it look like L to the 1/2? Why don't we use some easier function? Because what we're trying to get is a stylized feature that for each additional input of labor that the firm puts in, it gets a little bit less out. This is also known as decreasing returns to scale. Okay, we'll talk more and more about this, but just for now, know that we want the production technology to look downward sloping like it is here. So L to the 1/2 is an example of a function that does that easily. Okay, now that we know that the firm has this technology, it puts L in, it gets L to the 1/2 output out. How much output does the firm get from certain amounts of L in? Well, we can make a table to figure that out. Okay, and I'm just going to write L, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to write total product here. All right, what is the total product if the firm puts 1 unit of labor in? Well, the total product is L to the 1/2. So the square root of 1 is 1. Easy, right? Okay, now let's do the last line here, 4. The square root of 4 is 2. Okay, easy. Now 2 and 3 are harder. The square root of 2 is about 1.4. 1.4, and the square root of 3 is about 1.75. Okay, so numbers in the middle, I just rounded them off to approximates to keep it easy. So we know, the firm knows, that if it puts 1 unit of L in, it gets 1 unit out. If it puts 2 in, it gets 1.4, 3 in, 1.75, 4 in, 2 out. Now given that, let's talk about marginal product. So we know that from Econ 1 that the profit maximizing decision boils down to whether marginal benefit is greater than or equal to or less than marginal cost. So let's talk about the marginal product the firm gets. The marginal product of the first labor is just 1, but of the second is now 1.4 minus 1, which is just 0.4. Marginal product of the third is 1.75 minus 1.4, which is 0.35. And finally, 2 minus 1.75 is 0.25. Okay, so obviously marginal product is decreasing and decreasing and decreasing. So this again comes back to this decreasing returns to scale. You put in more labor, you get relatively less for each additional unit out. And we'll talk more in class about where that comes from. So now, with the firm knowing how much L it puts in, how much output it gets out, how does it decide how much L to put in? In other words, how many people to hire? Well, that depends on value marginal product. Okay, what is value marginal product? It's going to be just price times marginal product. Okay, so if we know that marginal product is how much output the firm is getting in from each additional laborer, then how much money do they get from that product? Well, that has to do with how much price they're getting for each unit of the good. So if we're talking about a very, very cheap good versus a very, very expensive good, value marginal product is going to differ a lot from marginal product. So how do we get P? Well, that simply comes from supply and demand. Okay, so here's another axis. And we're going to say that this good has in PQ land, S and D, and S and D work out to a price of 2. Okay, we don't have to say much about what these supply and demand lines look like right now. Let's just say that they work out to a price of 2 for this good in the market. Then the value marginal product of 1 unit of labor is 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 0.4 is 0.8, 2 times 0.35 is 0.7, and 0.5. Okay, so value marginal product price and price time is price times marginal product, and we get these numbers 2, 0.8, 0.7, 0.5. With these in hand, how does the firm decide how to profit maximize? Well, it says, I know from putting the first unit of labor in, I get this $2 from that labor put in. From the second guy, I get 0.8. From the third lady, I get 0.7. So at each point, they know exactly how much additional value each laborer is providing them. So will they ever pay a wage higher than the value marginal product? Well, no. The wage is how much it costs to hire each person, right? So the wage is how much it costs to get the unit of input, and the value marginal product is how much product that worker provides. So that will tell exactly how much the firm will want to hire. Okay, I'm going to stop this now and go on to the second recording to see how this all works out.